On the second day, at the first session, it's my pleasure to be here to welcome the day's first session speaker.
Now he serves the church as a catechism teacher and moves along with young people. Chevalier Dr. Edezhath is one of the founders and senior animator of Jesus Youth. He shares several key responsibilities in the church, including the joint secretary. Chevalier.
May I also introduce and welcome our moderator, Mr. Nirmal Raj, who is currently a businessman in property dealing at Bangalore, but he has his communication studies from Dallas, US, worked in Lumen 2000 evangelization through media, and is a member at Cygnus since nearly 20 years. Very welcome to Mr. Nirmal Raj. And may I hand over to Nirmal Raj to take a session to the lead.
Thank you, Father. Networking in the community. That is the theme this morning. And as communication experts, dear friends, we know that in networking and in community, communication is central for any growth and development. May it be the small community of a family or neighborhood, society, church, world at large. Forget the world and church. Let's take here. We have network, we have community. But I don't know how much communication happens here. So we'll have a small icebreaker. Okay? Just to break the ice between your neighbors. Just pick up one neighbor, whether to your left or right, and share 3 best feelings of you about that person. You're looking good, you're looking handsome, you're smelling nice, you're good, you're rich. Okay. In communication basic skills, it is called warm fuzzies. Okay. If you say anything negative, it is cold prickly. So no cold prickly, only warm fuzzies. Turn to your neighbor, the front, back, anywhere. Share 3 feelings about him or her, and then he will share back to you. So, no problem. Okay. Start. Time starts now. Only 2 minutes. Any 3 feelings? I got everything nice. Seconds more.
Sometimes you answer using dancing and neighbor.
Same thing. The same.
Nice to hear some laughter and smile. Thank you very much. The ice is melted. I hope so. Okay, let's proceed. I thank Father Rafi and his team for giving me this opportunity because Dr. Edezhath, we call him fondly Edezhath. Okay, Eddie and I will share a 36-year friendship. I first met Eddie, I told you only 2 minutes. I first met Eddie in the airport in Rome. We represented India at the first International Youth Consultation during International Youth Year. So Pope has hosted it. We had the meeting in his private chambers. After that, we are part of a group called National Youth Pastoral Team for almost 12 years. After that, each other got married, we were doing our own things, but now and then we come together. Okay, we always connected, we always network, we always belong to a community called NYPT, National Youth Pastoral Team. So, I don't take much time of Edward because he's got a lot to share. And after sharing, let us have a real, vibrant, interactive session. Okay? Over to Eddie.
Good morning. Dear, I am a teacher. I still teach. So, always working with texts. So, easier to work with texts. Nirmal and I, as Nirmal mentioned, it was in 1985, International Year of Youth, and we had a wonderful time in Rome. 6 of us from India, and we traveled, spent a lot of time in the holy, in the eternal city, and then also went to Assisi. From then on, we've been closely in touch. Even now, we have one or two WhatsApp groups, and we constantly interact. I am a silent participant. Nirmal Raj is, as usual, very vocal and active, but we are good friends. Now, just by way of introduction, before I go to the paper, I'm usually invited to interact with young people or talk about young people to different groups. So that is my forte. Of course, I teach even now. I retired 8 or 10 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, but still I teach in St. Albert's College. They will be waiting for me, my students, masters, MA students. I teach literature, English literature, and it's very nice to be with them. But then, when I go to sometimes to parents, sometimes to congregations and priests to talk on contemporary times and what young people are doing, when I go and talk to these things, I usually begin with one Bible quotation and one thought, which I don't take today. My usual beginning is from Matthew chapter 16, verse 3, 2, 3, etc. You know, reading the signs of the times or interpreting the signs of the times. And I go on to ask them, what are the issues today? What are the contemporary signs? I usually ask them. Or what are some of the problems? I ask young people, I ask parents, sometimes brothers and sisters, and you can imagine, what is the greatest problem today? Media. Am I right? I think maybe one of the earliest references will be to the media. They'll say that. Families are facing problems because of media. WhatsApp, this and that. Young people are misled because of media. Everywhere the problem is media, they say. And usually, I begin with a lot of brainstorming and group talk. And, it will be related to, of course, we know that misuse of media, overuse of media, or being misled by the media. Media is the problem, usually. People have got a lot of problems. Even my wife, she's not here. Fortunately, I can talk. So she says, spending so much time with your mobile. So much time with your mobile. Then she also spends a lot of time. That's another thing. So she thinks maybe I'm spending all my time with WhatsApp because she's also spending so much time with WhatsApp. Media is the problem. Now, I think the issue is, the major issue is, we are not able to accommodate the change in media. We are comfortable with the media of the previous generations, but the changes in media we are not able to relate to. It creates a problem. But we know that media, anyway, I'll go into my paper. This is like water, like air, like anything that we live with. It's a reality. And the contemporary reality is very different from the previous realities. So harnessing this reality for the benefit of today, effective living of today, personal, communitarian, or mission, whatever it may be. So, harnessing these realities for today is the challenge, and I believe you and I, perhaps I'm not a media person, I try to persuade the organizers, I'm not the person to talk. But then, finally you agree and you obey. That's why I'm here. So, I'm not a typical media person, but then media is part of every one of us, not only you are professionals, but even amateurs and ordinary laymen and lay people like me. It's also part of us. Now I begin. So I have two things. One is community. Second is communication. And a third element I only talk towards the end. Perhaps how or meeting the needs. I think these are the 2-3 poles around which we are talking and discussing. I'll read, and then as I read, I will talk. Then the Lord God said, from Genesis, it's not good that the man should be alone. We shouldn't be alone. A man or a woman is not to be alone. If one walks alone, one is easily tired. Tired is a small word, but we become inhuman perhaps, unhuman perhaps, if we don't have those around us. I quote from Evangelii Gaudium of Pope Francis. The Lord's disciples are called to live as a community which is a salt to the earth and the light to the world, from the Sermon on the Mount. So we are called to be the leaven. We are called to bear witness to a constantly new way of living together in fidelity to the gospel. See, we are called, I think media comes here. In this changed, maybe third millennium, in the changed situation, if we have to live the gospel today, I think media is something that we cannot do away with. As we are coming here, perhaps with our bishop, beloved bishop, and some of us were chatting, talking. And we were coming to a point where we were saying that the priorities of the church. Sometimes many of us, media people, Bishop was talking about the president. He was saying, among his portfolios, many portfolios, only one is Signis. He was saying, only one is Signis. Important, but from the standpoint or viewpoint of the official church, this is only. Then I was putting in another point. Perhaps for the church, especially here when I look at the church, what is important, what is so important, or what the church should be doing is the maybe church feasts and novenas. That's the most important thing. That's the main portfolio. The rest, whether it is community building or anything else, or even evangelization and sharing the good news, or media, all that comes later, down. So, what he is saying, we are called to bear witness to a constantly new way of living together in fidelity to the gospel. Let us not allow ourselves to be robbed of community. Oh, a beautiful phrase. Let us not be allowed ourselves to be robbed of community. Community, perhaps, that makes the whole difference. Or a community orientation makes the whole difference. I very much remember, perhaps I did not quote, I wanted to limit my points to 2 pages. Otherwise, I would have quoted Pope John Paul II's towards the new millennium, the introduction to the new millennium. John Paul II is saying that the third millennium will be, the emphasis will be on community, or it has to be on community. And the spirituality of communion, he speaks a lot about the spirituality of communion. For the church to be really the church, what he says is true. Let's not allow ourselves to be robbed of the community. Perhaps we need a lot of repentance. Continue. And the most important ingredient of community, what can it be? Love built through communion. And love, of course, good news is that love built through communion, and the objective of communion and communication. Objective of media has to be love. Perhaps we get obsessed with the technology, we get obsessed with the dynamics, but it has to be understanding and love. It means this communication gathers people, builds them into one body, and bridges gaps when differences arise. Now I am quoting from the famous existential psychologist Rollo May. He's no more. But then he says, communication leads to community, that is, understanding, intimacy, and mutual valuing. So the objective of communication has to be this building of community. Perhaps we have to ask ourselves, is it happening? Is it doing? Are we orienting our communication, our media towards building this community? Now, continue. Now, my first point is some thoughts on community. There are numerous groups around us, and we are part of many of them. If we should examine, if I had time, if this was a seminar, I would have asked you to list the communities in which you are part. How many of them? I don't know. If I look at my WhatsApp groups, the number of WhatsApp groups that I am part of, but I don't respond, perhaps that should be an indication of how many will you be part of. So many, you know. Not only WhatsApp group. When I take my Fitbit, there's a walking thing, no? My exercise thing. There is a community in my Fitbit. Fitbit community. So, yesterday, this week I did not join the community walking because last week I was the first in that group because we challenged on the Fitbit who is walking most. And I was the first. Of course, all others are young people, still I was the first in walking. Then this week I know I will not be able to go there because I have too many, I'm so busy now. So there is a Fitbit community. There is a gaming community. What all kinds of communities we are part of. And when we talk of media, perhaps we only think of social media, and even is it social media only Facebook or this and that? What kinds of groups that we are part of? So many we are part of. It is important to ask how a community gets formed. I think with building communities is the theme, isn't it? Our theme of the whole assembly. Perhaps the very important thing is community, and we have to ask, we have to pursue this analysis of community and its dynamics and building communities very strongly. And so I am asking how these communities get formed. People are brought together, or communities are formed based on interest, exercises an interest. Or I'm going to another group to media, and we have a magazine, one or two journals, magazines, another group. I'm in the university teaching, another group. So our interest, or artists, sports, interest makes us community. Secondly, some kind of an intervention. We want to do something, we want to act something. Activity groups, action forms communities. Or place of interest. I'm from a parish, I'm not very far from, only 10 minutes from here. Sacred Parish. I'm very active in my parish, in all the activities of the parish. That locality where I live and the life I share, then my family group, all this is part of a community, and a community is formed around my place for my profession, my activity, then circumstances, my situations, my events, etc. So a community is formed. So I'm first asking, what is a community? Before we go into media. Then how do communities stay united and grow together? Of course, by sharing. Some kind of a communication. Communities grow, communities stay together by this interaction. Here, effectiveness of communication and lack of it plays a great significance. From this, I am running to another meeting where in one of our activities, a lot of misunderstanding has taken place. We are going to analyze what happened. Very significant discussion I'm going to go. But then I wanted to tell these people that something that you did not do was, we never had a meeting to appreciate, to give feedback, and to grow together as a community. Only when a problem came, we are coming together to analyze. We never celebrated the existence of that group. These are some of the publications that we have. These publication groups, very active, doing a lot of things, but activity was going on. We did not have time of review, discussion, or appreciation. Now only when problem is there, we are coming together. So, effectiveness of communication, lack of it, perhaps is the problem in communities. Then, here what do we share? Communities may share ideas and feelings, beliefs, resources, preferences, needs, and risks. So many things we share. But are we consciously sharing these things? Are we consciously living with these things? Consciousness as well as effectiveness of this sharing makes a community quite lively. When I was mentioned, they mentioned that I work with Jesus Youth Movement. Started very small. By the time when we were together, he was in Bangalore, I was in Cochin. We had Stephen from Chennai, Sharon others from Hyderabad. We were from different parts. So I was already working with small groups, building small groups, already started something called a first line group. We started working. From there now, from little Cochin, from Kerala to India, now to about 35 countries now. It has become very, very, very big now. I still journey with it. One thing I have seen is that this community and media somehow plays a very important role. Sometimes I marvel at what these young people are doing. I quote from Christus Vivit towards the end. How they revel in media. How perhaps teenagers, we have very strong teens groups. The beautiful things they do, the quick videos they do, and then in many of the media, how actively present they are. perhaps they're doing things. Perhaps my challenge is to sensitize them about the community. Not only that we use media, perhaps media can be media for media's sake. Sensitize them that we are here meeting, chatting. The human need is, meeting and accompanying and smiling and celebrating. Perhaps in the flow of things, my role of an animation is connecting and community building, which to a certain extent I do, but not sufficiently. So we come together with all these interests and this consciousness, and as well as effectiveness of the sharing makes the community quite lively. This in turn leads to forming the identity of the community. I am a Catholic. If I am really a Catholic, then I am effectively living my community life. If some of the youngsters are not sufficiently Catholic, how they look at themselves, their identity, they don't see as living this interest, living this belief. My youngest son, he's traveling to the airport now. He's only 20 years. Now, as I sit with him, this is my challenge. He's being a Catholic part of his identity. So many things are part of his identity. He's a computer specialist, studying. So many other things are part of his identity. But being a Catholic, being proud of being a Catholic, being part of this community. Now, our question is, what dynamics can build this awareness of identity, one thing, and also the degree of cohesiveness of the group. How the group is united, how the group feels. And how else other than media can we do it? How else other than media can we do it? This building of identity, building of cohesiveness, which is nation building is that, and of course kingdom building is that. I continue. What happens through a community? My next title. What are some of its major functions? One more point in community, then I go to media. Now what does community do? One is socialization. What I'm talking here, socialization. Growing as this with this identity. 2, order and discipline. The community gives some kind of a lifestyle. The community gives a kind of a regular regime, social control. 3, community extends care and support, love. So, family is a community, care and support. 4, some form of participation and involvement. Sometimes in Jesus Youth, our whole question is, how can we give some involvement for these new youngsters? Some responsibility that they will do. And finally, some work to be done, production, creation, distribution, consumption. So, community has various functions. And media or communication is the handmaid for all this. I continue. Towards community through communication. Communication is the fuel that keeps the fire of relationships burning. Without it, your relationship grows cold. I am quoting from William Paisley. So, communication is the fire. Without it, your relationship grows cold. We always say in the families, later I talk about families also. The problem is communication. In a parish, we have vibrant parishes in Kerala. Very active. But then communication? No. Many years back, I was preparing one session or one intervention in CBCI meeting that held in Trichu. It was the media was the thing. Trichu. Then I quickly did a survey. I prepared a survey and did some survey among youth, others, and etc. How the church's communication ministry is doing quite a few years back. So many interesting responses came in the survey. Then somebody was saying that, our priests are like All India Radio. Then All India Radio was big. Our priests are like All India Radio. I thought, oh, media friendly. That's immediately what I thought. Our priests are so media friendly. I said, do you mean to say that they are media friendly? No. It's a one-way talk. It is one-way talk. All India Radio tells us. And we have no way of telling anything back, whether we like it or not. So this I always remember. Our priests are like All India Radio. Not only priests, we parents are like All India Radio. I am a teacher in the class. I am like All India Radio in the class, but I try not to be. I try to build up a most unruly classroom. I don't want a disciplined classroom. But we cannot have an unruly mass celebration. It would have been nice if the mass celebrations were so chaotic and confusing that then people would have been by themselves. But we don't want it. We want silent, disciplined, pious. We call praying people. So, where community is not the issue, but we have to please God. So we have to. So, here, this has to be. What are some of the highlights of this age of instant communication and social media? I don't know how to call this age. This age. Which age is this? I think if we start a discussion, we may differ. We will have a big problem. So I safely put this age of instant communication. That's true. Instant communication, yes. I have put my mobile phone on flight mode. Otherwise, so many communications will come on a variety of media here, including from my wife. So many things. It is an age of instant communication and social media definitely. So what are some of the highlights? I think our topic is this community's communication needs. So what are some of the highlights? In other words, I am going back to the contemporary signs of the times. One, today, there is a profusion of platforms and modes of connecting. You will know many, many, many more. But then, so many kinds of connecting ways today. So many kinds of connecting ways. I thought, long time back, podcast is over. But podcast is coming alive so much now. Podcasts. So very interesting podcasts and connecting with them. And they want us to respond to these podcasts. So podcast is coming alive. Pinterest. So very alive now. So many people. But of course, when I was asking my son, do you use Pinterest anytime? Oh, only homebound ladies use it. Because he has seen only that. Use of Pinterest for homebound ladies. But when I want to find points on media, Pinterest is the best place. Because one book will be summarized in one infographic. On Pinterest, I can get information so very succinct, very clearly. So much of media. So there's a profusion of platforms and ways of linking. I was always saying, these bikers groups. No. There's a big bikers groups. Some communities and their modes of linking. Or each particular interest group has got some kind of a media that will connect them, and they are making tailor-made. Or in Jesus Youth we have now formation modules and formation levels and so many other complicated things. We have some media which, of course, we can connect with Facebook also, but then some media that will serve the purpose of this formation levels we are developing now. So different. So one of them. Two, many of them are so very popular that large sections of society are there in communication network. So many people, I purposely did not give statistics because you must be fed up with statistics. I didn't want to give statistics. Many other groups when I talk of media, I begin with statistics. But we know statistics now. How many mobile phones? And Facebook still continues to be, though it's outdated, it continues to be the largest connecting thing. Of course, here many of us use WhatsApp, so many. 2. 3. They meet all kinds of imaginable purposes and personal and collective needs. We are so media dependent, everything. Traveling or cooking, everything is media dependent. And finally, and generally, these facilities are quite accessible and affordable to the commoner. Everyone can access it. Everyone has ways to use it. I know I've been talking for about 20-25 minutes. Your patience is waning. This has been, I have a few more things to do, and I will talk a little more and I will go to practical things. Maybe to get back your attention, but also to relax, maybe shall I ask you to have a little chit chat in your small groups? You are sitting in a small group. The question that I've been asking, do the media that we use really serve community building? I ask again, the media that we use and get involved, do they really serve community building? I was talking of community, need for building community, yeah? And the Pope was saying, let us not allow ourselves to be robbed of community. But is our media, do you want to stand up or sit and chat? Maybe not standing up, this is not a youth group, so you won't stand up. Yeah, youth group, they want to stand up and do an action song. So I want you to 2-3 minutes and a little chit chat. Even if you talk something else, I have no problem. Okay, I have no problem. But I'm only asking, community building, is it happening? These communities are getting built up where we are. Start. 2-3 minutes of just chit chat, or just talk about something else.
Virtual community.
Virtual communities, yes, but sometimes the virtual also helps somewhere connecting those who are far. But if it's a neighborhood community, think about the family community. We are youth group, no? Stand. Yeah. Discuss.
something like ego, I believe. Maybe the people can speak of selfie, photos, mostly that's what it is. Some people, even for some people, most one or two photos. But sometimes some people,
much like junk food in the West, which is also coming to India. Mobile makes people junk. That's what I feel. That there is nothing really serious in their mind. They just want to communicate, be part of that virtual community. But that intimacy, even within the family, isn't there. So the worst thing a parents could do is to provide mobiles for their birthdays. That would be the worst gift they would ever do. Then you lose them. From that day on, you lose them. So that's our ways to
Shall we take one more minute? Shall we take one more minute?
cannot be denied either way. What kind of community you have? What communities are there? Dramatic reducing. Those are different. Those vibrants are of their. I will ask a PhD company. Students like this, they came and they were having a lot of interaction. We should not stop at this level like this. We need to mobilize more people and build more and more upon that, so that let this concentration go. If at all needed, just like BJP going door to door, divide groups, college students, youngsters, you also go door to door
Shall we?
and mobilize.
Shall we? I should be asking what you were discussing, but then I think at this stage if I ask, maybe the time will eat into the time, so I'm sorry for not getting a feedback of your discussions. I would like to continue and then my on that page, it's the second paragraph. We were only chatting. I was telling Nirmal that sometimes in our groups, when young people come with ideas about media, sometimes I insist that resources should not be allocated for media. Because sometimes the problem with media can eat up any amount of resources. My personal vision, if you disagree with me, we will agree to disagree. Media can eat up any amount of resources. But then sometimes very, excellent and special media, they become irrelevant to the purpose of community building. Sometimes that happens. People come with wonderful ideas, and these wonderful ideas perhaps don't serve the purpose of helping people or communicating the good news, and more than anything, community building. Rather, sometimes I'm concerned that media actually kills community. Sorry, telling this to media people is perhaps a little too bad. Media becomes exactly the other way around. Looking at, Jesus says, sometimes the children of this world is more wise than the children of the kingdom. The children of this world or the media of this world, they are much, much more efficient. And without knowing, they kill and sell. They kill and sell without knowing, without money perhaps. Of course, money is also channeled out, we know. But then, if money becomes a deciding factor, sometimes I think the end can be lost sight of. I wonder. Now, what are the functions or benefits of communication? I'm reading from my little notes. What are the functions or benefits of communication in a community? Perhaps this is what we may have to do. One, relational aspects. Promoting greater connectivity, caring and sharing. Communication should be, media should be helping these relationships, making them loving one another more, or building, if it's a parish into a little joyful, celebrating community. Media should be helping maybe the college or this institution to be more of a community. So relational aspect. Two, they provide necessary or even unnecessary information, keeping you updated. Sometimes today, this unnecessary information is the problem today. Three, groups, values, vision, goals and strong bonds. And the media help communicate them and builds them up. Actually keeping close to the vision, bringing back to the vision what it is, why we are here. I think media's function. For each group has its own business and productive activity to carry out. The meetings to be done or something to be produced, whatever it may be, for which the media lends effective helping hand. Many of our groups, we are concerned with collecting young people, challenging young people, equipping young people. So the media that we use must be able to attract young people or update young people and send them out on mission. So the media should be using that. And finally, for various special needs like crisis management in Kerala in recent times, when the flood came, people said media is good, or the latest media is good. Otherwise they were seeing media as a problem. But when the flood came, you remember, year before last, flood actually upset the society so much that they said these young people with their WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and other connecting links, they are a great blessing, they said. So in crisis management or helping the poor, other special needs, media has a special role to play. Now a community grows and builds itself up through the effective use of various media. Now, I am asking another question, some of the challenges now. Before I go to the practical aspects, I know, a little more and then we will go to some of the practical aspects. Now, what are some of the challenges faced in our communities in connection with the use of the media? Some of the challenges. One, while a particular media and related technology may intimidate or put off some sections of the community, some others may go with an attitude of media for media's sake, inebriated by it, tipsy by it. So there are two parallel streams flowing. One section, they don't understand media. Another section, they ride on the media. So there is this comes in a way to undermine or destroy community. Two, a communication or information overload. We all, with a WhatsApp perhaps more than anything else, the forwards are such a headache. However much we tell them what to do, people go on send irrelevant, useless information. Sometimes this becomes a big problem. Thirdly, misinformation and fabrication of truths. Today, when I was here for the inaugural mass, and Bishop Kareel was talking about this false feeding, misinformation, or fabricated truths. This become a big problem today. So many things, because it came in the media, people believe it. Again, certain rigidity of stances or prejudices of some individuals or groups as a whole causing damage. Media can be a best way to spread prejudices. You can handle media and take people for a ride. And perhaps you can be too loud with your prejudice. And finally, there could be cultural and language divides, the cultural issues. And finally, a relational aspect can be lost sight of by focusing on some of the media and their dynamics. Because of the media, because of the overuse of the media, the community spirit is lost, the relationship is lost. And what do we want? We want a communication that builds by training, by the use of appropriate media, by streamlining or tackling the flooding and misinformation. And we want this media for refocusing on the community's goals. Pope Francis, or all the recent popes, speaks again and again, the church exists to evangelize, to share the good news. The media should sensitize the church to what she is for, to evangelize. Or in my own movement, Jesus Youth, or in my college, the media should challenge my college to realize what it stands for. And finally, building relationships, intimacy, unity. I go on with the 10 commandments, not well thought of, but I quickly put 10 practical suggestions. With that, I will conclude 10 practical suggestions. I like this Bible verse in a variety of ways. In a variety of ways. Speaking the truth in love. Speaking the truth in love. Ephesians chapter 4:15. The context is a very beautiful context which St. Paul is speaking about it. But today I thought, with our theme, this speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way. So we have to build communities by maybe focused on truth, in a dynamics of love, and a consciousness of community we. Then we have to use media, speak with a trajectory of growth, on a path of growth. I think I am taking out all those 5 words: truth, love, and community, and communicating, and growing. Practically, we have to have all these 5 aspects in our media, dynamics media ministry. What are we doing with media? Grassroots efforts. That's what we are called to do. Grassroots efforts called community building or community organizing. Practically, what we are doing is community building. If there is a media that's not doing community building, I think this media is redundant. If there's so, 2 aspects of the community building is, one is proclaiming the good news, second is building the community. So, grassroots efforts called community building or community organizing seek to empower individuals, empower groups of people by providing them with skills they need to effect change in their own communities. Of course, we are focused with skills. Now, when my brainstorming coming in the next 10 points, I'm trying to focus on these things. One, we have to focus on young people. Why? Pope Francis says it. Young people. So youth and children, perhaps it is wrong when I say that they need communication training. But they need. For what? For happy living and successful career. Communication can be such a wonderful tool for them to be effective. In my class, if they have these tools and they have the tools, they can be very effective and they will be career-wise very potent. Sometimes when a couple of weeks back we had a discussion on teenagers, training teenagers. Because in a movement like Jesus Youth, we become a little over-spiritual. That's one of our problems. We become over-spiritual. What to do? People are so obsessed with prayer in the wrong way. But then I was trying to tell them, in our trainings, if we are not imparting any useful skills, perhaps if we are not imparting any new skills, we are irrelevant. Sometimes I even marvel at the scouts. I don't know whether you are aware of scouts, but when I go to the West, I see even neighborhoods, very active. Schools and colleges don't have scouts there. Scouts is organized by neighborhoods, parents and youth activists organize scouts. And what do? They have badges. They break down skills into badges. Like one badge is putting bulb properly. One badge maybe. So one badge may be preparing a good WhatsApp message, maybe a badge. Or one badge would be using a mobile and taking a very small 10-second promotional video. One badge would be. So the scouts, they break down all the skills into small badges and they train young people into acquiring these badges. I think it's a very beautiful Christian way of bringing up young people. But unfortunately, our training, our youth training becomes so much of irrelevant chatting and theological inputting sometimes. But they want practical skills. So what if media people are the ones who can really understand these dynamics, these new dynamics and transmit them? So young people, and then they will become very good career people tomorrow. I'm quoting from Christus Vivat, section 210. Pope Francis is saying, I trust that young people themselves know how best to find appealing ways to come together. They know, his emphasis is they know how to organize events, sports, competitions, and ways to evangelize using social media, through text messages, songs, videos, and other ways. Young people know, I testify to that. They know much more than we do. They know much more about media than we do. They only have to be encouraged. That's the media training that I would like. They only have to be encouraged and given the freedom to be enthused about evangelizing other young people wherever they are to be found. But what we need in media training, I think sometimes what is needed for young people is a sense of mission and direction. In media training, what is lacking is this sense of direction. Media without a direction, if it's only a skill, I think it is counterproductive. Especially young people will say, I have seen so much of media training that becomes so useless in the Catholic Church. If media training is well integrated with mission, where they are directed, then they have interest somehow. 2, family related. On marriage, on parenting. So families who have strong and healthy communication skills can weather significant challenges and remain intact. Those with limited effective communication skills are vulnerable to the challenges of life pulling them apart. She's a writer. Perhaps, as the church says, families are the challenge. I don't know. Perhaps the present understanding of media ministry by the church, I don't know how this will be relevant, but then we may have to focus on the needs of the family. 3, priests and institutional admins. We have too many institutions in the Catholic Church, but least media sensitive. I think sensitize them on change. The core of media is, as I started saying, change. The lifestyle is changing, the way of talking is changing. If only a media sensitization can make them sensitized to change. And then community building and communication. Perhaps in this order. The art of communication is the language of leadership. So the art of communication. So leadership means, a parish priest means a communicator. A college teacher, a college principal means a communicator. 4, build awareness on fake communication. This is Plato's quotation. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have to say something. Sometimes today's communication is fools speaking because they have to say something. They have to communicate something. So maybe we have to have this unnecessary communication tackled. 5, perhaps media ministry have to have developed tools for communication building. Tools for communication building. Perhaps it's not easy today to understand what tools we... Earlier it was easy. Here, I know only the nearby dioceses. We had media centers and they used to prepare. I find in front of me Father Francis Xavier sitting. He was the director of a big media center. And then it was easy. Recording studio, bringing out CDs and later some videos, this and that. Some tools we were bringing out. I don't know in this 2020, what are the tools that we have to develop? I think, I'm not sure. Media is much more active today. Media is much more various today. In this context, what are the tools that media people can make and put to the use of others? I think we need some clear brainstorming on that. 7, parish, associations, movements, communities. We need training on communication building community. Communication building community. We had in this diocese, there was a year of laity, many years back, year of laity. I was in charge of one committee. Then immediately what I wanted was helping lay associations to understand who they are. If only what we have this in every parish there is Darshana Samuha. There's a for our church feast. We have, how do you call it in English? Confraternity. We have confraternities. Portuguese brought these wonderful lay associations called confraternities. Now also they are very colorful and active in parishes, conducting church feasts. But if only there was a renewal of confraternities. There is Legion of Mary, very active in the diocese. There is Sodality. There is Vincent de Paul. If only we who are familiar with the dynamics of today challenge these associations to understand who they are, find out their mission, and be effective in their mission. Sometimes when Vincent de Paul people call me to speak to them, I'm not a Vincent de Paul person, but I take Christi Fidelis Laici and tell them, Vincent de Paul is not just this, but look at Osana. He knows. So, centuries back. But today, reorienting you, perhaps only media people will be able to do, I think. Helping them to be what they are, challenging them to be true evangelizers. So I think we have a big role to play in parishes, associations and movements and communities to be really 8. This, I think, most important part of media is silence, stillness, reflection. I read half of Cardinal Sarah's book on what the importance of silence in this age of disturbing noise, and that's not there. This is an age of noise, you know, voice and noise are 2 different things. This is an age of noise. Only silence and stillness can make media effective, speaking effective. I think media people have to sensitize people to silence. I like Teise because Teise is so beautiful and so melodious, but their focus is on silence. So training in silence and dynamics of reflection is the need of the hour. Last but one, we need to form bloggers, vloggers, podcasters, infographic designers, and all kinds of other media activists. Giving tool, values, as well as mission. So values, content, and tech skills. But I think mission is important. Perhaps there is a media people without mission or sense of direction is the greatest tragedy today, I think. And finally, focus on evangelization. Perhaps whatever I have been saying is, church says, church exists to evangelize. Media exists to share good news, or what I call mission. There are already existing efforts, a lot of existing efforts. The tragedy of Catholic churches, we have very good, excellent initiatives, never networked. We have wonderful ones, one big religious community, they call at the general level to help them, challenge. And I said, if you can please make no plans for yourself, but collaborate in the plan of a wider, some reality. Stop planning for yourself, but collaborate and network with other planners, because the tragedy of Catholic Church is that we are so efficient, we are so potent, so powerful, but all working parallelly, never ready to join hands. Fortunately, kingdom will never come. Because we all want to bring down the kingdom, but working at loggerheads with every other group. So, complement existing efforts and equip those in the field. perhaps that's what we can do. Thank you for calling me and allowing me, a layman, to speak to you and challenge you. He says there's a time, yeah, he said 10:10 to, I've stopped 2 minutes earlier. So there's a time of whatever else, interaction or something else. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Just to put whole Eddie's sharing in one sentence containing 4 words, I would say: connect, communicate, community towards our mission for which we exist. That's all he said. Now, communication is incomplete without feedback, suggestions and clarifications. So I have 2 suggestions here. One is, please keep your questions short and sweet. Because the shorter the question, more people can question, bring out the question, more the merrier. Secondly, very important, whenever I come home late, especially in the night, my wife will ask at least 12 questions. So the ladies have a knack of asking a very specific, focused question. So I ask many ladies here, sisters here, please come out with your own questions. Okay? So your time starts now. Who's first? The microphone, please. Okay, Dr. Magimai, then Father, then Richard. John also.
So my heartfelt congratulations for your wonderful presentation. You were very vocal, clear, down to earth. Thank you, sir. Let me share with you, a few months back, we had the World Sickness Board meeting. I happened to be one of the members present there, and at the end of the session, during the session we had a session on strategic planning. At the end of the session, unanimously we voted on a resolution, and the resolution was to engage with the youth. There's no second thought, there's no second opinion. We have to engage ourselves with the youth today. That's the order of the day, need of the day, need of the hour. Okay. So on that account, I see your very first point that we need to engage with the youth. And my specific question to you is, your Jesus Youth seems to be a wonderful success story. My question is, how are you able to attract youth, generate interest, maintain, sustain interest in the youth, to support you, to journey along with you, to create a wonderful movement? I was taken up when you said it spread in 35 countries. That's an amazing achievement. Can you share some of your thoughts on that? Practical tips for us to engage ourselves with the youth in the future.
Should we take a few questions and then I respond? That will be better, no?
Okay, question?
Simple. I'm happy that you mentioned about reading the science, dynamics and challenges of our times. And one more thing which I appreciate from your talk is media can kill community. It's shocking and revealing. And also you mentioned about communicating the word of God. But looking at the realities, we need not communicate the word of God, but we have to communicate the meaning of the word of God, because the meaning is relevant. For 2000 years we are preaching the gospels, but what's the impact? I think we are not reading the science and dynamics as you said, challenges as you said. Primarily, I agree with you that we are all communicators, we are all communities, but the present scenario, both the media and the church treat us as individuals, treat us as numbers, mere numbers. An ID card is hanging around our neck, a clear sign that we have lost our identities, we have lost our originalities and the community spirit. Early church, first 300 years, we Christians, we are interested in building communities. Then afterwards, we are not interested in building communities, we are interested in building institutions. So a response for that one. And even in the prayer of the faithful, we pray for popes, bishops, priests, and sisters, as if they are all very much in need of our attention. But after all, they are all servants of God, servants of people. But what happened to the people? People are thrown out. We will speak about the youth, but they are also thrown out. Where are they? We have big institutions, buildings. But where are the people? We have neglected, and they are mere numbers. The response. Thanks.
Thank you. Father Richard? Father after
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much for the input. I have one clarification to seek and two important aspects I need to highlight. One thing you said, media, you explained well. Second, you explained community. But when you made a statement, media kills community. It looks all paper which is watered down. Second, you said media eats up all resources. What kind of resources media are eating up? You said about all the church institutions are at loggerheads. I think it is general statement, may not be true. I think you need to particularize different and generalizing it different. One more aspect said about Catholic Church is least sensitive towards media, but I don't agree with this. These are the general statements, watered down whole thing which is there in this paper. So I need to have some clarifications.
Okay, Father, 1 minute, let him answer, then we'll come back to the next round of question. Father Johnson is waiting after that. Okay,
Three questions came. One is how to, or my experience on helping youth and building youth. One very important aspect I find is that accompanying youth, being nearer to youth, or understanding them, and because what many in the church are not able to do is to understand the youth language and be near youth as they are changing. Youth are changing so quickly. So, in this changing scenario, being near to them, walking with them is not easy. It's not at all easy. Sometimes when I ask young people, what do you dislike most? One of the first answers would be advice. Advice. But I said, if somebody, your good friend, if it's a boy, I say a wonderful, beautiful girl, gives you a tip of life, don't you like it? Yes, I like it. So we elders talking irrelevant things, which means they don't understand youth. What I'm saying is, why Jesus Youth is successful, where it is successful, not always successful. I know a lot of problems with Jesus Youth. Where it is not, where it is successful, it is able to understand the language of youth, be with youth, give them a experience and vision, and challenge them to do something meaningful, beautiful. What Pope has been saying. Saying Jesus Youth, what we do is that, so challenge them. We call evangelization or doing something good. So, I think that's why Jesus Youth is beautiful. Perhaps organizationally, if it crumbles, no problem. If it is not advertising its presence, no problem. But individuals and groups should find their mission. That's the thing. 2, Word of God. Perhaps we are talking too much of Word of God. What is needed is something else. We have institutions, or we have setups, which are becoming irrelevant, he was saying. I think that is what we are saying, that what is needed is community. Community is word becoming flesh and dwelling among us. So it is not quoting the words, writing words on a wall, or just preaching, but living. It is a challenge. Perhaps what media people we are trying is, I suppose, going into the heart of the word and communicating it as well as living it, challenging people to live it, which I think the visible sign is a community. So the theme that you've taken is very good. Sorry that what Father was saying, I was sometimes using some expressions which were a little hurting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. So my intention is not to put you down or to negative. Some trends only I was saying. Sometimes I said media kills, I said. What I meant, I think you must please understand that sometimes only having media, and when it becomes irrelevant, and media for media's sake, that sometimes even communities are lost. But what I have been talking is, how can media serve mission? How can media, or perhaps you are doing it already, but it can. Media can kill, and that's why people get upset that when we are talking of media, they say that that is the problem. Misunderstanding, of course, I agree. Misunderstanding. But media can destroy, and media destroys. But we don't want media to destroy. We want media to build individuals, build community, build mission. That's what we want. Eating up resources. What I meant is, sometimes, I also mentioned, many young people come and ask me, we need a lot of money to start a TV channel. I said, TV channel is not the thing that is needed now. Perhaps some of the irrelevant media can make use of a lot of unnecessary funds, which happens. We have bands. Jesus Youth is famous for so many bands. We have Rex band, we have this band, that band. This year's World Youth Day, 4 Jesus Youth bands performed at the Pope stage. Sometimes people get taken up by these bands, but Rex band came, very small way, built up over the years. But those who see it now, they also want to build a band, and they need a few millions of rupees. Easily, a band and a performance can eat up a lot of resources. Or a TV channel can eat up a lot of resources, sometimes unnecessarily. So frugality or focus on the mission can be a very good way of seeing if this is a needed media or if this is a media that will serve the purpose. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry for, speaking words that hurt.
Thank you. Next, Father Johnson and Father Secretary. Please.
Thank you, sir, for your speech. It was a nice talk. You began your talk with saying media is the problem. I beg to differ with that. Should it not be that our inability to digest the uncontrolled content of media or the abuse of social media or so-called mainstream media, because now mainstream media is no more mainstream media, the alternative media has replaced it. Should it not be that our inability to digest the content or abuse of social media be problem and not the media itself is a problem?
Father Johnson.
One of the lacunas that I find, communication is becoming more and more impersonal. And therefore, community building becomes a problem because it's easy to communicate with someone who is far away rather than someone who is sitting very close to me. as a result, we don't really highlight the problems of people who are within probably in our own communities. We may be growing in many ways, but are we at the same time also helping others to build up their lives? In what way have you really helped? Communication has helped in order to build the lives of, let's say, the marginalized or the poor. That's one point. The second point that you mentioned it partially, and that's regarding, maybe lack of convergence, because, media cuts across almost all aspects of human life. But, as you said, very rightly said, we are working, we are trying to excel in so many ways, so many institutes which promote and do so many good things. But then, is there any convergence of our efforts? As a result, we don't become a very powerful entity. We are not seen anywhere, and our voice is not heard. We do not have a kind of a focus, and therefore, a lot of things, we don't really make a kind of an impact in all commissions. We individually meet, now the media commission is meeting, maybe evangelization, formation, whatever you call it, but there is no convergence that is taking place. There is no networking that is taking place. We speak a lot about it and we go back and we do our own thing, but there is no convergence. I think, what can we do about convergence? Thank you.
Cyprian?
Founder of Jesus Youth. Today we have many other kinds of youth, Bajrang Dal youth, RSS youth, Vishwa Hindu Parishad youth, and Islam youth. And these types of youths are outside the youth of Jesus youth. My question is, what kind of media to be used to bring these youths who are outside the Jesus youth? How to use, you said, you spoke of mission and vision of the media. So that Jesus youth has mission and vision to bring other youths, non-Jesus youth, into Jesus youth.
Okay, one last question, because we have time up. Geraldine, one and the only lady.
Hi. Today in the society there is a lot of chaos that is happening around and we all are aware about it. But what makes me to be more worried is about what is happening in my community. So we as a community who are following Christ and who are Christians are being divided in the name of youth. Even in the youth we have different kind of, like as we have mentioned, Jesus Youth, ICM, all the states have different divisions. But when they come together, they are divided. But they want to make a propaganda of their youth community they are coming from. So there is a division. And also among the religious or congregations, when they come together, again there is a division that we are seeing under. So with all these divisions, there is differences in our own community. So we being as a media person who are seated here, how do you think that we can take away these differences and how we can build as a one Catholic community? And what do you think that, what are the constraints that we need to face from your past experiences? It will be a good input to hear from you.
Okay, one last Verghese. After that, we can't have any more questions.
Dr. Eddie, wonderful presentation, but couple of points. Some of them I have already mentioned, Father Johnson as well. Facebook is the biggest community in the world, bigger than the population of India. That's a huge potential. Coming back to your question of why aren't we embracing technology? Why aren't we embracing such technology? For the simple matter that Jesus Youth or even Vatican media for that matter have embraced these technologies, without which I am sure Jesus Youth wouldn't have gone to the level that what it is now. So the context is, don't shoot the message, or rather don't shoot the messenger, but shoot the message. Technology is like a tool, it's like a knife. You You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. Depends on which side of the hedge we are. So what I see is embracing technology. Father spoke about convergence. Today, there must be a convergence of church and social media and technology. Otherwise, the growth of the church is not in the cities, it's in the hinterlands. How are we going to reach out to them? Use technology is what I would say.
5 questions. I think the first and fifth question similar. Second and fourth question, or the third question, similar. Media is the problem, I said. Not as my opinion. I said when I ask communities, when I ask groups, they start saying that what is the problem today? They say media is the problem. And my conclusion was the problem is they don't, we cannot live without media, that's what I'm saying. But then their problem is they are not able to accept change. Media has changed. There is new types of media, new technologies coming, but people think that that is the problem. And what I wanted to say is that without media, we cannot do anything. Or what we are saying is that our ends, like helping people, building communities, building mission. I think these are my 3 emphases. Building people, building communities, building mission. For all this, without media, impossible. And today we have to use today's media. Perhaps if people don't understand, it is our effort to help them understand the media, or there can be a problem. Sometimes I said that the problem could have been we are using media for media's sake. People don't see us using media with a mission of these 3 levels. So what we have to do is that, it is not my opinion that media is a problem, but I am only quoting people, so sorry that I did not communicate properly. So sorry for that. So I am not shooting at the messenger. I think we need messengers and I am a messenger. Secondly, a big issue that came up is, again I underline, media is so important. And tomorrow's media will be different. And we have to use tomorrow's media tomorrow. If we use today's media tomorrow, we will be redundant. We need tomorrow's media. We have to be abreast with the media, and that's our role or your role as professionals to understand tomorrow's media and use it in a proper way for these goals. Secondly, convergence. The convergence of efforts. I think this is a big issue. This is a pet. I always try to challenge people. We are the multiplication of efforts or parallel building is a big problem in the Catholic Church. But it's a very difficult problem. It can be a psychological problem, it can be a personal problem, but it is in this competition is a big issue today. But I think maybe we who are media people are not just communicators. I think media people are visionaries and thinkers also. Don't look at ourselves as only people who are using technology. We are also thinkers, we are also visionaries. Then only we become real media people. So we have also a role to play to challenge the church, higher level, lower level, towards this, what Father nicely put, this convergence of efforts. Not to be divided, but to build is very important. And finally, the third question is about youth, bringing different youth together. I think this is true. Sometimes, again, I said Jesus youth sometimes speaks only very Catholic language. That Catholic language alone is not enough for different youth. We need much
mature youth who will talk the appropriate language in the appropriate forum. That is a maturity. Ability to talk the appropriate language or appropriate media in the appropriate forum is very important. Otherwise, also we become people who are using cliche. The greatest enemy of communication is cliche. We become parrots. Many young people just are parrots. They say pray, pray, pray. Or they say faith, faith, faith. They say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And they become irrelevant for the others. But to build the kingdom, they must be trained to understand the depth and use real communication rather than cliche. So it is a big challenge, and yeah, we have a big role to play. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eddie, for such a wonderful, challenging input you gave us. Jesus also gave so many quotes to us which many didn't understand. So let us pray to the Holy Spirit to enlighten us more and more and proceed with our mission. Thank you for
Thank you, Edezhath. Thank you, Nirmal. Now may I invite Reverend Father Francis Xavier, General Secretary of KRECC, to present the mementos to Edezhath and Nirmal.